Hello, welcome to this special place where stories come alive. Today, I'm bringing you a classic tale full of wisdom and important lessons. The Crow and the Pitcher. Get comfortable, open your imagination, and join me on this adventure. The Crow and the Pitcher. Once upon a time, across a vast field where the winds danced with the tall golden grasses, a lone crow flew beneath the blazing midday sun. The heat was unbearable. There wasn't a single cloud to soften the fierce light. It seemed as if the entire world had slowed under the weight of the burning sky. Streams that usually laughed and sang through the forest lay dry, and puddles that once mirrored the clouds had cracked into the dusty earth. The crow, with gleaming black feathers and bright, clever eyes, had been flying for hours in search of something to drink. Every time he spotted a shadow that might promise water, he would swoop down, only to find dry rocks, brittle twigs, or dust swirling in the wind. His throat was parched, his tongue stuck to his beak, and his wings grew heavier with every beat. He remembered then the old stories the elder crows told when he was just a fledgling. In times of drought, they said, it's not just strong wings that will save you, it's a sharp mind. It was in one of those moments of fading hope that the crow, scanning the ground below, noticed something unusual, an old clay pitcher, lying forgotten near a clump of bushes. It was tall, with a narrow neck, and the sunlight glinted off its reddish surface. Renewed with a spark of energy, the crow swooped down and perched beside it, peering eagerly inside. Water! There, at the bottom of the pitcher, a small pool of clear water shimmered. The crow's heart raced with excitement. Without wasting a moment, he thrust his beak inside, but the neck of the pitcher was too narrow. He couldn't reach the water. He tried pushing the pitcher over, thinking the water might spill out, but the base was wide and heavy. It was rooted firmly into the earth and wouldn't budge. Frustrated, the crow hopped back a few steps. He circled the pitcher, inspecting it from every angle, cawing in annoyance. For a brief moment, he thought about giving up. Maybe it would be better to fly on and hope to find another water source. But then he heard, in his memory, the words of his grandfather crow. The first impulse is to give up. The second must be to think. So the crow sat still for a moment, closed his sharp eyes, and thought. How could he make the water rise without breaking the pitcher? What could he do to change the level of the water? As he pondered, he noticed a small pebble near his claw. He picked it up with his beak, turning it over curiously. And then, like a bolt of lightning, a brilliant idea struck him. Of course, thought the crow. If the water won't come to me, I'll make it rise. Wasting no time, he picked up a slightly larger stone and dropped it into the pitcher. Plop! It landed at the bottom, and the water level rose just a tiny bit. Peeking inside, he saw it was working. His spirits lifted. Eagerly, he set about gathering more stones, small ones, big ones, anything he could carry in his beak and fit into the pitcher. Each stone fell with a satisfying plop, and little by little, the water climbed higher. However, the task was slow and tiring. The crow's wings ached, and the sun beat down mercilessly. At times, he wondered if it was worth the effort. Wouldn't it be easier just to fly on in search of another source? But every time he looked into the pitcher and saw the water creeping higher, he renewed his determination. As he worked, other animals of the field began to gather, curious about the commotion. A rabbit with long, twitching ears hopped closer, followed by an ancient tortoise who shuffled along steadily. What are you doing, Crow? Asked the rabbit, tilting his head. I'm making the water rise, panted the crow, dropping another stone inside. Wouldn't it be faster to just break the pitcher? Suggested the rabbit. No, said the crow firmly. If I break it, the water will spill into the dry ground, and I still won't be able to drink. The tortoise nodded wisely. Patience is the strength of the wise, she murmured and settled into watch. Encouraged by his small audience, the crow pressed on. The pile of stones inside the pitcher grew higher, and so did the water level. A butterfly fluttered past, landing for a brief moment on the rim of the pitcher, as if to congratulate the crow on his cleverness. Finally, after many trips back and forth, the water reached nearly to the brim. Exhausted but filled with joy, the crow leaned in, dipped his beak carefully, and drank the cool, sweet water. It flowed down his dry throat, refreshing him, giving him life and strength once more. When he had drunk his fill, he flew to a nearby tree and perched on a low branch. From there, he looked back at the pitcher and the animals who were still watching him. He shook out his wings proudly. "Remember," he said, his voice carrying over the field, "it is not always the strongest or the fastest who wins. Sometimes it is the one who thinks the best." And with that, the crow took to the skies, leaving behind a little trail of black feathers that glistened in the golden sunlight. From that day on, in that dry and dusty field where the winds whispered through the grasses, the animals often spoke of a clever crow who, with patience and wisdom, had overcome what had seemed impossible. Moral of the story: with intelligence, patience, and effort, even the most difficult problems can be solved. And that's the end of our story for today. I hope you enjoyed this tale as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. Remember, with intelligence and patience, we can achieve the impossible. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories like this. See you next time.